Hello there, cat people. Dan the Catman here. Welcome to episode 17 of the Shelter Cats podcast. I am surrounded by my own shelter cats. My 3 boys are all sleeping in my living room as I'm recording this. And also as I'm recording this, we're in the middle of a heat wave, so hopefully it's not terrible where you are, but it is an oven. So stay hydrated, keep your cats hydrated, keep them inside. Make sure they have plenty of water. Make sure you have plenty of water and stay cool because I hate this weather. The Shelter Cats podcast is my labor of feline love. It is all about shelter cats, the shelter cats that have saved my life, that have inspired my life, that have made a difference in my life. It's all about the rescues that also make a difference in trying to help homeless cats and feral cats live a better life and get the forever homes they deserve. And hopefully that inspires you to do something about it as well. Adopt a cat, adopt another cat, or just help your local rescue with any volunteer work they might need. That's the purpose. I want to inspire you to adopt a cat, tell your friends to adopt cats, and help your local rescue. Because right now, as I'm speaking to you, in my Brooklyn accent, an amazing shelter cat is sitting in a shelter, in a foster, with a rescue, dreaming of their forever home with you. So go adopt and don't shop. Adopt, don't shop. That's my motto. That should be everybody's motto. So I want to hear from you as well, because I want to hear about the work you're doing to help the homeless cat population. Even if it means you just adopted the most amazing cat in the world and you could not imagine life without them, I want to hear from you. Or if you run a rescue anywhere in the entire universe, I want to hear from you. So I'm on the web, tylerthecat.com. Email me, dan@tylerthecat.com. The Facebook page is Shelter Cats. Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, Shelter Cats Podcast. Twitter is Shelter Cats POD. I am on Medium. I blog every Saturday morning. Medium.com/Shelter Cats. You can support the Shelter Cats podcast on Spotify and Patreon. Spotify, look for the dollar symbol. Patreon, just search Shelter Cats or email me and I'll send you the link. And there are various subscriptions you can go for where you get access to various things. So I definitely want to hear from you and don't be shy. So tonight, as I'm recording this, I'm so excited to introduce my guest for this show. Shauna Frye is the Director of Operations for the Cat Collaborative. They are based in Philadelphia. They've only been around for a year and a half, and they have touched the lives of thousands upon thousands of homeless cats in Philadelphia. The city of Rocky, brotherly love, and cheesesteaks. I like cheesesteaks. My oldest, dearest friend was born and raised in Philadelphia. So I used to work in Philadelphia. I love that city. So when I met Shauna and we had a great conversation, and just hearing not only the work they do, but how organized their infrastructure is. So this is Cat Infrastructure Week, because not only are they going full out and they've helped thousands of cats through their programs, not only are they about to open their physical facility where they'll be holding even more spay-neuter programs. They've touched the lives of thousands of homeless cats in Philadelphia. And it's just mind-blowing to not only hear what they've done, but how they've done it and how they have themselves organized. So I want you to hear this. If you're a rescue and you're overwhelmed and you're ready to give up, don't give up. Listen to this show. Listen to what Shauna has done and let it inspire you. Franchise this like McDonald's. Follow this because they just have all their ducks in a row, all their kittens in a row, and they're doing astounding work. So without further ado, here's my chat with Shauna Frye, the Director of Operations of the Cat Collaborative in Philadelphia. Enjoy. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being included in this.
How could I not include you after we had an amazing conversation last week, and I had to pretend to forget everything you told me because I wanted it for the show really badly. I was just amazed about everything you said. So we're going to start again, and I heard nothing. So obviously, the mission of this podcast is to get the word out about how amazing shelter cats are,
Yep. Yep.
and what you and your organization in Philadelphia, the land of cheesesteaks, what you guys are doing is just amazing. So can you, I guess to start off, can you introduce yourself and kind of how you started in animal rescue?
Absolutely. My name is Shauna, and I am currently the director of field operations for an organization in Philadelphia called the Cat Collaborative. Our main focus in the Cat Collaborative is providing various resources to enhance spay, neuter, sterilization surgeries, and then furthermore to find rescue placement for friendly cats. But backing up a little bit to talk about how I initially got involved in cat rescue, about 20-ish years. And it's kind of funny thinking back to how different things are now. But about 20 years ago, I met and married my husband, and he lived in South Philadelphia. I wound up moving in with him. I had always lived in the suburbs where there really wasn't much of a stray cat problem. But when I moved in with him, he actually had a ton of semi-feral cats living in his well, not in his backyard, but it was in the alley behind his house. And he just, it was kind of just normal in Philadelphia. Whereas to me, being such a huge animal lover, I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do something. I started feeding the cats. They wound up having kittens. And at some point in that process, I started reaching out to try to figure out what I could do to to help these cats. And as I look back, I kind of cringe at all the things I did wrong. But the good thing is I learned I learned from all the mistakes I made, which there were many of them. One including giving away so many kittens just to anybody who responded on Craigslist, and they were unfixed, and I cringe when I think about it. But I have come a long way in 20 years. I've learned a lot, and I haven't given away an unsterilized cat in ages, nor have I given it away any on Craigslist or on anything without proper screening. So I've definitely come really far. But I from that time, when I started just reaching out for help with how to assist those stray cats in our back in I then kind of fast forward a little bit. I had done a lot of independent trapping. I feel like I was always drawn to those street cats that were really struggling,
Right.
that you would see and were dying for food, that were unhealthy. And they tend to, the sadder the cat and the more beat up, the more I love that cat. And I definitely have a soft spot for those street cats. So I I navigated the system, struggling to find appointments, figuring out how to pay for the appointments, trying to determine what to do with friendly cats after I was able to trap them, get them fixed, and all of that, until kind of fast forward about, I guess, another 10 years through the system, when I eventually decided to start my own nonprofit. And that nonprofit was called Philadelphia Urgent Rescue and Relief. And I started it. We actually purchased a tract of land that served as a outdoor colony for the stray cats that literally just couldn't be returned to the places we had trapped them.
Right.
I'm sure you guys probably have similar stories, but there were definitely areas that we were doing TNR where people were poisoning the cats, people were sicking their dogs on the cats, people were just
Yep.
all sorts of abuse, and just breaking. And so that led to starting purchasing this tract of land to be an outdoor colony for all of these cats that just couldn't be returned to their location. And we still have that tract of land. It's kind of disheartening because it's full, and as you can imagine, I could fill it with 1,000 cats, and there'd still be more needing placement. And just to be really responsible and ensure that I don't turn into one story sanctuary type places that just take in too many cats that they can care for. We do have pretty strict intake guidelines so that we just ensure that we can responsibly care for every cat that's there. But
Right.
so it still exists, and it's great. The cats that made it there are living their best life. They're very, very happy. They're all semi-feral, and but they're fed twice a day, and they have tons of shelters, and they're just very happy. But anyway, going back to the main point. So I stayed very involved with TNR. That was definitely always my main focus. And even though we had this colony and we started an adoption arm of PER, TNR was still my primary focus. So at some point, probably it was in maybe 2020, I wound up meeting two women who definitely changed my life. That's a moment in time that I feel like somehow I was meant to cross paths with them. And we started working together doing TNR throughout Philadelphia. And we were kind of doing it under the umbrella of PER, but they would all agree to sponsor a spay neuter day where we would do 25, 35 cats, which was really crap, 25 or 35 cats in a single day on a couple block area. And so we were definitely able to start doing more TNR than we had previously, because even though we use low cost spay neuter clinics, and in Philadelphia we're actually fortunate to have a fair amount. We probably have 4 or 5 spay neuter clinics that are relatively low cost and that offer slightly different services. So I think from that standpoint, Philadelphia is actually a pretty good area to do TNR, but it
Yes.
still adds up. If you're spending $50 on a cat, that's a heck of a lot at that. But when you're doing 25 cats at a time, it still adds up really.
Yeah.
So before I met the two people, Jen and Alex, who eventually became the founders of the Cat Collaborative, before I met them, it would be this struggle where I would fundraise for a month to raise enough money to take on a TNR project. Then we'd go out and do the TNR project. Then I'd spend another month trying to find for all the friendly cats that we found, and then another month trying to fundraise again to kind of get money again. And so it was just such an inefficient process. And I look back and I'm like, gosh, how did I keep doing? Like, it just seems like everything was so much more difficult than it should have been or needed to be. And it all really came down to money. Sadly, money kind of drove everything. And of course, fosters and rescue placement were also in the mix, but getting spay neuter appointments was always a little bit of an issue. But really, the funding for those spots was the biggest obstacle that prevented me from continuously doing large volume of TNR. And after meeting Jen and Alex and kind of starting to, they increased the capacity in which we could do trapping. And then at some point in my relationship with them, I pitched them the idea. I actually, oddly enough, my previous career in federal law enforcement, which allowed me to retire at 20 years at age 50. So I was still relatively was able to retire being 50, which doesn't necessarily feel that young, but I guess in the big scheme of things, it was relatively young. So I was
Yes.
able to retire with a pretty good pension, and Jen and Alex agreed to start this initiative to just provide. Initially, the plan was to provide funding for 2,500 spay neuter surgeries or spay. So they include vaccinations and flea treatment, 2,500 sterilization packages for every year for a period of 4 years. That was kind of the initial pitch and what we initially agreed to, which seemed amazing. And I actually remember a conversation where we were jokingly saying, we're not going to run out of cats, are we? And, obviously we knew we weren't going to run out of cats, but it's still that
We could only hope.
I know. I would love that. That would be the best thing that I could ever hear, that we were out of cats. But at the time, 2,500 cats seemed like a relatively lofty goal, and the two women, their commitment from a financial standpoint was very generous, and it just seemed like, okay, we're off. And that's what happened. We kind of got started and we kept brainstorming. And initially, we didn't even have an actual name. Initially, we were like, okay, the Cat Project. But the more we started talking about it and thinking of what we wanted, what we envisioned, we realized that we really wanted it to be a collaborative effort. We wanted to help the independent trappers who were always struggling to find traps, to find 10 traps to go work on a project, to be able to easily get 10 appointments and have those appointments paid for, and be able to also get them combo tested so that the rescues would be more likely to accept them into their organization. And so as we were brainstorming, Jen, actually, she came up with the idea, how about the Cat Collaborative? And it was like, yeah, that's looking back, there truly could not have been a more fitting name for this group, because everything we do is based on collaboration, and our success is 110% because of the collaborative efforts of everybody, from starting at the top with Jen and Alex, who funded it and continue to fund it, and have probably even increased the initial commitment, to the trappers who have now come under the umbrella of the Cat Collaborative and are able to, in a given week, I mean, it's not uncommon for a trapper to reach out to me and say, hey, I've got this big project of 35, 45, even 50, 100 cats. Like, we've worked so many different levels of projects, and they said, how can we make this work? And it's actually, we're able to do that even when we're talking those huge numbers, like 50 to 100 cats. We're able to do it because we have so many volunteers, so many boots on the ground volunteers, who are so appreciative to kind of have the ability to easily get appointments, not have to worry about the money side of it. They just basically book the appointment through me, under the Cat Collaborative. And we have standing appointments at mainly a clinic called Forgotten Cats, which is in Philadelphia. There's 2 locations. And truly, we actually need to start Forgotten Cats, because they are such an incredible organization. And if it weren't for what they allow us to do, access to their facility after hours, so we can drop off cats the day before, we can recover our cats there. We can, if we're working a really big project, they'll let us keep our cats there for even an extra day or two, which will allow us to go back and finish the colony while the cats are still at the clinic, which obviously makes it a million times easier than releasing and then trying to figure out who's tipped, who's not tipped.
Right.
But so this collaboration, starting with Jen and Alex and the money, to the trappers on the ground who are doing, I kind of look at them as the heart and soul, who are just have so much passion and are such hard workers and are out doing out on the streets doing this trapping day in and day out, to the clinic who not only does the sterilization surgeries, but they also will address any other issues that they see at the time, including, I mean, even things as significant as if a cat needs a tail amputation, they will do it at the same time as the spay neuter. If a cat needs an eye enucleation, they do it. And when you think of it, point, like, first of all, realizing that for some of these my feral ones who are going to be released, this is most likely the only time that they are ever going to see a vet or get any sort of medical care. So the mindset, the Cat Collaborative and our partners, is let's do the very best we can for every single cat we touch. Let's figure out a way to, whether it's just getting a penicillin shot for what appears to be an upper respiratory infection, or doing an eye enucleation and holding the cat for, figuring out a way to hold that cat for a week while they heal. We go, our driving principle is to go above and beyond to do right by every single cat we touch. And I feel like 99% of the time we really are doing that. And it's something that I'm so proud of, the group that has come together and what has been done because of the collaboration. And then the other key component of that are the rescue partners who have teamed up with us to take friendly cats so that we don't have to release them back to the street. And from an intangible standpoint, that may be one of the most important aspects, because I can say personally, I still think about the friendly cats that I released back when I didn't have the resources that I have now. And it makes me so sad. I think of some of the really special cats, and I think of cats that I went to release and they were following me around the street. And, as I'm away, they're walking next to my car. And it literally, like, it brings thinking about it. And
Sure.
I still, at the time, I told myself, well, their lives are incrementally better because they're now fixed and they're now vaccinated, and they'll have a month without fleas. But it really makes me so sad. And I wish so much and a cat collaborative back then, so that I didn't have to do that. And part of that feeling led to starting Purr and starting the tract of land. But it still has always been, there's just too many cats that are dumped outside and not enough homes for it. But at this point, through the Cat Collaborative, we have 25 to 35 solid rescue groups who are on a Facebook page that we have that's called of Rescue Partners, and trappers can post friendly cats that they trap kind of in real time. Basically, what we encourage is, as they trap a cat and get the cat to the clinic, we encourage them to take some good videos, even videos while they're still out on the street, to find out from neighbors, was this cat abandoned? Was he dumped? What's the story with the cat?
Right.
And take some good pictures. And in this post on the Facebook page, they put all the information they have, and it always starts rescue placement needed. And it's really amazing how many cats have been moved from that page. And basically, once we post them, if you looks at them and has a foster, or thinks that they, for whatever reason, is interested, they will comment, yes, catnaps them. Whiskers of Love will take this cat. And it's very, even that is very efficient, because it's done almost immediately the trapper knows that a rescue is interested. We update the post to say, update, rescue placement found. And then the next rescue group who's looking for a cat knows that that cat is spoken for and can move on to another one. So it's been really
That's
just
amazing.
another yeah, it's so, and there's nothing better for for the trappers who love these cats so much, just being like, yes, we found rescue for this guy. And not having to lay awake at night thinking about having no place to put the cat and having to think about the possibility of having to return them. So that's just been so, and it's a little bit, the rescue partners are definitely, they're doing it out of their love for cats, but we also look at it as a little bit of a financial incentive because we are covering the cost of the sterilization, ensuring the cats are
Right.
up to date on their vaccinations, flea treated and combo tested. So when they go to the rescue group, they're
They
pretty
don't have to
close to
deal,
being adoption ready.
and they
And
don't have to incur that expense.
exactly. So it's overall we feel like it's a win-win for kind of everybody. Now, of course, we we unfortunately have a lot of cats that are in such bad shape that the rescues have to incur additional costs for them. But even with that, we're really transparent about it. If we think this cat's going to need a dental, we tell the rescues that. But then we also try to share fundraising, and we try to support those rescue groups in any way that we can. So it's become such a I guess a symbiotic relationship with everybody, where every part is so necessary to our success. Like we really couldn't have the success we have if we took any one of those parts out of the equation. But together, it has just come together to be so magical, and we get so much accomplished. And it's going through the numbers. I had just pulled, so again, when we started
You
this, our
you
plan
read
was
my mind. That was my next question. Was I hate to sound like a business meeting, but metrics.
yes, exactly. And that is so important. And one of the other amazing things about the CAD Collaborative is we have the best administrative guy. He's actually our executive director. His name's JJ Francis, and he is like the king of administrative stuff and technology. So we use a platform called Airtable to capture every single cat that we get fixed. So it's like at a moment's notice, we can pull up anything that we want to know about our numbers so far. But so thinking about, initially, we had budgeted or planned for 2,500 cats a year. And in our first real year, which last year, we in January of 2022 is when we became an official 501c3. So for 2020.
Hello, hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna. Dan the Catman here, and now a brief intermission. Only because the conversation got interrupted. So take a break, go get up, go stand up, go walk around, go pet your cats. If you go into the lobby, we're serving popcorn and snacks. And, I never really, I liked plain popcorn. I never liked buttered popcorn because I didn't like things like your hands get messy and the napkins are always too small. But I like buttered popcorn at home, but I like microwave popcorn. So you choose which kind of popcorn you want. I was more of a Raisinets. Like I'd have some popcorn, but I liked having like the Raisinets. You remember Raisinets? Those are good. So get a snack, take a break, get some fresh air, because the rest of this interview and conversation is even more mind-blowing than the first. And literally, this could have been a 5-hour marathon conversation because I had so many more questions. So now that you've gotten your snack, maybe you've gone to our restrooms, and I hope you tipped the feline attendant in the restrooms that helped you, handed you a paper towel to wipe your hands. And now that you've been refreshed, let's continue with part 2 of my conversation with Shauna Frye from the Cat Collaborative. Welcome back
All
to the
right.
show.
Thank you.
Not a
So
problem.
want me to
We
just
will.
start?
So yeah, when we left off, we'll just say a cat. Our cat got our homework or something. We were discussing. You were about to tell me metrics and the numbers that you've been able to do.
Perfect. So remembering that our initial plan was to do 2,500 cats in 2022, which is when we officially became a 501c3 in January of 2022. Year we wound up responding to 4,254 cats.
Wow.
And by responding to, I'm including moms with kids. So in the case of moms and kittens that we move to rescue, we don't get the kittens fixed really because they're not old enough to get fixed. And so we will get the mom fixed if she's able to be away from her kittens, if they're old enough that she can be away from them for a period of time, or if she's semi-feral. So that number includes even kittens that we didn't get vetted, but it still is a pretty amazing number. And then the cats that we actually got vetted was 3,713. So that too,
Wow.
with our budget being that we would get 2,500 cats fixed. And then even more amazing, for 2020, already this year, we have responded to 3,032 cats, and we've gotten 2,606 cats fixed under the Cat Collaborative funding. So we're already over our budget for 2,500 cats, and we're not even halfway through. Well, we're over halfway through the year, but not by a whole lot. So it's it's really amazing how much we're able to do in a relatively easy manner. I mean, we're all working really hard, so there's no doubt that we've got everybody who volunteers with us, they're all hard workers. We are definitely a hardworking group. But as when I think of how hard I used to work to get maybe 100 cats fixed every year, compared to how hard I'm working now, like it's definitely, we have created so many efficiencies, so many systems that really do streamline the process and just make it possible. And when I also look back to in my pre-TCC days, there were many times where you were only able to get maybe 2 or 3 spots at a time, especially if there happened to be vouchers that allowed us to get cats fixed for free. If you were using a voucher, most clinics would only let you have 2 or 3 spots at a time. And when you think of working a project with 20 cats, which is definitely not uncommon, and you're only able to do 2 or 3 at a time, it's almost like you're just chasing your tail. You're not, by the time you finish that colony, new kittens are going to be born, and you're just going to kind of be starting again. The fact that under the Cat Collaborative, we have 100 traps available. We have, if we need to earmark 100 appointments in a given week for one colony, then that's what we do. And so it really is exciting seeing how we've kind of changed the narrative on trapping. And maybe along those lines, it's a good time to say we still use the acronym TNR, but we refer to it as trap, neuter, respond. So we're really trying to get away from that trap, neuter, return mentality.
Yeah.
And we are to represent respond, which by that we respond to the particular cat. Is it a cat that should go back outside, that doesn't, isn't friendly enough to be a pet? And if that's the case, I'll be the first to say, let's try to find caretakers, let's try to, if they have shelters, let's set them up with a food sponsorship program and try to make the best life for that cat. But I'm always a proponent of returning a feral or a semi-feral cat. I never try to push a home on every cat. But on the flip side, for the friendly cats who want to be inside, I will do anything I can to find them a home. And I think that's how it should be, that we respond individual cat. There shouldn't be a flat return every cat, nor should there be a flat find every cat a home. It needs to be a balance of what is best for that particular cat. And so that's our TNR is trap, neuter, respond.
It's just mind blowing to me that you've been able to accomplish so much, and only in the past, since early 2022. I think that the key is that database, which I'm jealous about, and the way you almost assembly line communicated in your Facebook group. My big question is, how did you get, so there you the rescues that you work with and the trappers that you work with, did you do the legwork to kind of bring them into your fold? How did that kind of collaboration, I guess is the word, how did that come about, where you got them all together and they're all in that one group and they respond so efficiently? I think that's such a huge key that I think could serve as a model for other. I'm on the island, and when we spoke on the phone, I told you that there's a lot of fiefdoms, and the communication isn't that network is just not there. They each work independently. How
Yep.
did you get them all together is my big question.
And you definitely hit the I feel like there's an unfortunate amount of inefficiencies amongst cat rescues, also here in Philly. But I feel like it's common for each group really kind of work on their own. And sometimes I get the feeling that they don't even necessarily want to work together. And some of that may be, from my standpoint under PER, which was a small rescue, I think part of the problem can be that you're all competing for a limited number of resources,
Yes.
largely being donors. And
Yeah.
so and even now, another really amazing thing is through some of the relationships with rescue partners that I've established, there's even sharing of big donations. Literally, like just 20 minutes before I got on the phone with you, I got a text from one of our rescue partners in Philadelphia, um, Out of the Woods Rescue, and they were getting a donation of food and offered to split it with me. They know how many colonies I take care of outside. They know that we help caretakers. They know how many cats we're caring for. And so they got this big donation of food. and they thought enough and appreciated enough what I'm doing and what we're doing through the Cat Collaborative, that they reached out and, hey, we'd love to give you some of this donation. And that's, it's so, and it's not the only one. Like, I have an incredible relationship with another group with love, who literally every time, I mean, they're constantly offering to help me with so many different things. And those are the relationships that are just so special, and they help us do so much more. But that's definitely not the norm. So going back to how we actually made this happen, the first thing we did is, once we had some of our ducks in a row with um and when I look out, we thought we had, and we've even just in the past 6 months, so much has changed and we've gotten so much better. But at that, right before, I think it was actually November of 2021, so we were gearing up to get our nonprofit approval from the IRS, and we were gearing up to really have the funding, the donation coming in from Jen and Alex regularly. So we had a meeting, and we just put it out on Facebook. We were like, this new spay neuter initiative, we would like to have, we've hosted a meeting at kind of just a public place in Philadelphia. And we just invited people to come and hear what we were all about. And even the day of the day I got there first and I got set up, and initially nobody was there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if nobody it was, one of those moments where it's like, oh no, I had put a PowerPoint together, we were all ready, and it got to be, I think it was supposed to start at 4 p.m. and it was literally like 3:58 and not a soul was there.
Oh, God.
And it was definitely like one of those oh no moments. But actually everybody was just running late, and we had a really nice turnout. I think about 50 people showed up, and and it was and of those 50 people, there's probably only, I don't know, maybe 10 of those initial 50 people have stuck with the Cat Collaborative, and and stay with us and actually actively trap under the Cat Collaborative. But there's also, I look at it that the Cat Collaborative is not for everybody. And in actuality, there are people who only want to trap a cat or two, every two, and maybe they're just maintaining cats on their block, which is fantastic. But it's, the Cat Collaborative is not really, we're not the best fit for that type of trapper. That type of trapper is better served to get those one or two appointments at some of the other spay neuter clinics, where they're not, like, we're more set up to do large scale trapping. And so we have attracted the people who want to constantly be doing trap, neuter, release, or respond. And so it started from that meeting, and from there we've really just grown. Maybe I actually say that we get probably about 50 volunteers pop in and pop out before we actually get one who really wants to stay and be a core part of the Cat Collaborative. um, and that's okay. I respect the people who want to do just a couple cats every so often, and I
Right.
respect the people who trapping's not for them. And I do feel like in cat rescue there's so many different areas that you can be involved. And trapping's definitely not for everybody. I find it physically exhausting, I find it mentally exhausting, I find it never ending. And there's I kind of wish I had never gotten involved in trapping. I'm saying that somewhat facetiously. I can't say that word, right? But
She's kidding,
but
everybody. She's not getting out of it.
Mm, But so we still just, some of it mouth, some of our best volunteers have just been, they have a friend who's working with us. Hey, I like what you're doing, I want to get involved. And the next thing you know, they're involved, and they're running their own group trapping project. And so it's quite interesting how seeing how people kind of come and get involved. We do have, so for the trapping side of the house, we have a private Facebook page that you actually have to answer like 5 questions to quote unquote apply.
Right.
And some of the questions include, are you willing to commit to at least be part of a trapping project I think we say every 2 months. And so there's kind of a requirement that you have to at least offer a trap with a trapping project every 2 months in to stay on this page. And probably every 2 months, and if I've approved somebody to be on the page and they have never stepped up to do anything, then I just remove them from the page. And it's a private page, and we talk candidly, and we share addresses, and we share lots of different information. So it does need to be a private page, and we need to be able to know that we can be we don't have to hide an address, or we don't
Right.
have to worry about the information that we're sharing getting into the wrong hands. And so from that standpoint, I feel like there's a necessity to keep it a tight group. And but on that page, like, there are people who have never led their own project, but they are the first to step up every time a trapper, just maybe they even are going into an area that they're not comfortable and they have to go at night, so they just need somebody to accompany them, or like a third
Right.
person to accompany them. And that's fantastic. Like the trappers don't have to be leading anything. They just have to be involved and helping us fulfill our mission in some way, shape, or form. On that page, we also have another separate transport page, but even on the trapper page, we have a couple people who their main focus is just transporting cats. And that's huge. That is such a help for,
Yes.
a trapper who's spent the last 5 days working on a colony, and now they have 10 cats that need to go to 10 different rescue groups around the Philadelphia area. And just that can be a huge ordeal. So having people who will agree to do the transport can take such a load off of the trapper's plate. And so that's kind of, we do set the bar high. I will say that we set the bar high, and but from that standpoint, I feel like the volunteers that are under the Cat Collaborative are people who really get stuff done. They're people who are doers. They're people who are hard workers. And we don't really have much, if any, dead weight. And I look at it like we have this amazing quality of volunteers, which sometimes is better than quantity. And in this case, I think that's what has allowed us to, despite being such a small organization from a volunteer standpoint, that we're still getting an enormous amount of work done.
It's just amazing that it's only a year and a half.
Yeah, it is exciting. It is amazing, exciting. I think I told you we've just got a physical space, and I'm still hoping you're coming down for the ribbon cutting ceremony.
I
But
really, really try to.
we're
I really,
gonna that's gonna be in early August. And just today I was talking to JJ, and I was just like, if you had told me when I retired from my career back in, it was actually almost exactly 2 years ago. I retired June 30th of 2021. So
wow.
if you had told me then that in 2 years we would actually have this beautiful space. And if you come, you'll be so amazed at how beautiful this space is. It's like just so clean and simple and efficient. Like everything's efficient. And if you told me that that would be possible, I would have believed it. I would have been like, oh, I dream of that, but I thought it possible. And it just goes to show how much can be accomplished when you get a group of really hardworking, passionate people who all are have the same goal and the same mindset of really, our focus is making Philadelphia a better place for cats. And we really do believe that the most impactful way to do is by getting as many cats as possible fixed, and then maybe even more dear to our heart is finding rescue placement for the friendly cats that are struggling to make it on the streets.
Yeah, if you're a stray cat and if you're listening to this show in New York or anywhere, go to Philadelphia because they know what they're doing. Now, can you talk more about the space? Like what is the goal behind the space?
So that's an interesting question, because even that has changed. I think one of the things that we do really well is we'll come up with a plan and we'll start to implement the plan. And then if we see, you know what, that's not really working quite how we thought it would or how we wanted it to, we have no problem with saying, yep, we screwed that up. Let's turn and let's fix it and let's go in another direction. And that's kind of how the space has, kind of what has happened with the space. We initially thought that the space would be where all of our trapped cats came. So basically, trappers, our thought was, we'll just almost give a free for all for trappers. They can trap cats whenever they want, bring it to the space, and then from there, we will figure out which clinic that they should go to on which day. And that seemed like, oh, that'll be really easy. We'll have this central location. But we quickly realized that was a terrible idea. And it actually made more inefficiencies. And, the cats had to be transported twice. And there was additional time that they'd have to sit in a trap because of that.
Right.
So we've really kind of turned from that. We've also, though, simultaneously, we realized how much of a problem there is for low income pet owners, cat owners in this case, and how many cat owners are literally unable to get their cats fixed, even at a low cost spay neuter clinic.
Right.
So simultaneous to kind of signing the lease for this space, and we actually had it built to our specifications. And so at that same time, we were really realizing, the number of cats that were being kicked out onto the street because, so neighbors would say, oh yeah, they kicked their cat out because he started spraying. Oh, they kicked that cat out because she got pregnant. Things that just simple spay neuter could solve that problem. So we were picking up so many recent dumps, and on occasion be able to talk to the owner and say, if we get your cat fixed, will you take the cat back? And there could be an argument that they probably didn't deserve to have the cat back, but nonetheless,
Right.
we did get a lot of positive response to that. And so from that, we realized, okay, we should start a program pitching completely free spay neuter packages to pet owners who can't get their cats fixed otherwise.
That's huge.
And it has been incredible. And I will tell you the number of people who come in, and it's kind of sad because they're almost bragging. They're like, oh, this cat's so sweet. And she's had 6 litters and we finally ran out of friends to give them to. And I'm just like,
Right.
no, but, it
Let's talk.
yeah, exactly. And I will say that our lack of education on
Yeah.
how bad it is for cats and how overpopulated. And despite how cute the kittens may be, that all they are is adding to the problem. So we have, since our first pet clinic, which was in December of last year, I think we're at about 1,000 pets that we've gotten fixed. And that's and
That's
that
amazing.
and it does seem to be like, I feel like until we get, it definitely goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do, because until we kind of resolve the pet side of things, those pets end up on the street and we're going to be chasing our tails again. So now we're really trying to do both at the same time, but the space has served as a perfect home base for those pet clinics. So even though we we aren't actually getting the cats, we aren't always getting the cats fixed at our location, although we are neighbors with a clinic called the Bridge Clinic. So we went in on this lease together, so they have half of the space and we have the other half of the space.
Cool.
And we're separate organizations, and there's a door that separates us, and we don't, I won't go into their side of it. Actually, probably ever. I would never go through that door to their side of it. So it's not like we're partners in the standpoint that we have access to each other's space,
Right.
but they are still doing many of our pet surgeries. So on every single Tuesday, we host a pet clinic where people drop off their pets to our space, and we then either have them fixed at the Bridge Clinic, which is in our, next to us, or we transport them to some of the other clinics that we work with. And then we bring them back and the clients pick them up from our space. And it's really nice base for us to host these clinics. And then in our space, we also have cat condos we have 12 cat condos, so we can house up to 12 friendly cats there. They're really cute cat condos, so they're all expandable. So most of them we've made kind of a double condo, but depending on how overrun we are, we'll make them smaller when need be so that we can actually accommodate 12 cats. And so
And
that's
and those are available for adoption.
and those are available or for partners. So most of them are actually listed for adoption under my old rescue PER, which sadly is not inactive as I kind of hoped it would be. But they are available for adoption under PER. And a lot of times, like if one of our rescue partners happens to stop at our space and they're like, oh my gosh, that cat's so great, we have an adopter who would love that. It's like, okay, she can go with you. So
Yeah, no
it's
problem.
it's kind of a nice holding spot for friendly cats until they can either get adopted through PER or find placement with another group. And then the other part of our space is a really nice sized conference room. And in that although we actually haven't started running them with any frequency, but we want every single month to host a trapping 101 session. So anybody who's interested in trapping can come to our space, and it's got a TV, it's got tables, down, meet some other trappers, because our plan is to have the sessions taught by myself in conjunction with some other of the experienced trappers, so that we're really kind of all on the same wavelength as far as what we're teaching. And I think even though trapping is quite simple, the the basis of it, I I still do see, I'll see things posted on different cat pages. And trapping, I think people sometimes forget how stressful trapping is for the cat, and that even though we're obviously doing it to help the cat doesn't know that. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways that that I and TCC trappers have realized makes trapping so much less stressful for cats. Like, I feel it's so important to have a trap cover so that once that trap closes, the cat gets covered and isn't freaking out. I've
Yes.
had experiences where I didn't line the trap, and then I put the cat in a vehicle and he gets his paws caught in the trap. And I've literally had cats whose paws have been cut and bloodied because of that. So, I'm really anal now about using newspaper. And if it's a windy day, we actually have these like yoga mat types we cut into the length of a trap that we can use them on top of the newspaper if it's a windy day and the paper's
Right.
blowing around. We, different types of bait for a hard to trap cat, different traps for a hard to trap cat, all these different things that even though the trapping itself is simple, that there's things that we can do to make it more kinder for the cats, more cats, and that can make it easier, more efficient, maybe quicker trapping for the trapper. And even etiquette once you get the cat to the clinic, things that you should and should not do. So one of the big things that we want to do in our space is start hosting those trapping sessions every single month. Have a regular, like, first Saturday every month. We'll have the trapping session from 10 to 12, or 8 to 10, and then following that, one of the experienced trappers will take anybody who wants to go out on a trapping project to kind of give them hands-on experience. So I think that'll be a fantastic way to grow our organization even more and attract more trappers who may want to get involved in this, but are just a
Don't
little
know
bit
how.
intimidated or don't know where to start. And I feel like having that support, kind of having somebody to hold your hand just the first time, and then you're like, oh, I can do this. I can definitely do this, especially under TCC, where I don't have to worry about paying for the spots, getting the appointments, and there's connections with rescue partners to get the cat's placement once they're trapped, if they're friendly. So that's something I'm super excited about. Now I just have to get that get that implemented. And so while our that isn't necessarily being used for what we had initially thought would be the main focus of it, it still is just an incredible like home base. And like this past Sunday, I was there, and just while I was there, like the number of trappers just popping in, grabbing traps, popping out, it was like, it's almost like a family. Like, we all just,
Right.
hey, how are you? And lots of positivity, lots of support for each other, and just a really great vibe, I guess, is how I would explain it. So, and it's just such a pretty space. Our colors are this kind of bright orange color, and we've got this neon light. We've got like these orange chairs. It's you'll see it when you come visit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The most amazing thing, I'm gonna say amazing in my preamble and in my outro. I'm gonna probably use the word amazing way too much, but it's so easy to just be in the weeds with trapping and with trying to fix a colony, and it's so easy to just stay in the weeds. I think what's amazing. I need to look up adjectives about your organization is that you have such a big picture outlook that I
Yep.
think is
Yep.
so important, that instead of lurching from, like you said in the beginning, lurching from one fundraise for one colony, take care of that as best you can, and then wait for the next crisis to come up and hope you can fundraise for that. Obviously thanks to your two founders, but the big picture, kind of the infrastructure and the big picture infrastructure that you have is so important. Like, franchise this in every major metropolis city in the entire country, because it is such a key infrastructure to have built that I think lacks in so many different I could speak to every trapper I know in my part of the world, and just that they have a place to go and grab a trap,
Yep.
their
Yep.
minds would explode just hearing that. Just having a
Yep.
space to go get a trap. That is the biggest issue here. Is the colony is there, but holy crap, I need to find 50 traps in the next hour.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's scrambling to do that. Just the fact that they could just go to your organization or just post on the Facebook group, and it's
Yep.
like assembly line efficient. I think that's amazing. Now,
Yep.
how do obviously you have a website? How do people find you? I always want to make sure that we have
So
that out.
we do have a website, and www.thecatcollaborative.org. And then we also, and our website's actually, I think it's really a great website. But I will also say that, again, you get, we've got so many different, when we created the website kind of at the beginning of us being active, um, we had everything. We had, yes, sad stories, happy stories from that time. We had really hoped that every week we would be updating different like cats of the week, different rescues of the week, who had pulled the most cats that week, maybe who highlighting trappers. Terrible job of that. And I'm hoping that at some point we're going to have enough funding that we can actually hire somebody to be our website manager. We hired somebody to build our website, and she did an amazing job building it, but we really need somebody to maintain it. So although it's a great website and it gives a great overview of who we are and what our mission is, it doesn't give as much of the day-to-day activity as our Facebook page does. So in addition to, this is the thing that initially I was like, is this ridiculous? We have a Facebook page that's called the Cat Collaborative. We're pretty good at updating that. Like with just
Right.
yesterday, one of our best trappers, she great story. I definitely recommend your viewers go to our Facebook page and check out the story of the cat on the roof. Super, super sad story, and super amazing that our trapper, a cat who had been on the roof for literally, it sounds like a couple months, had been living on a roof. And
Oh, God.
amidst all these crazy storms that we've had here in Philadelphia, like on top of a row house, a block of row homes. So
Oh,
no place to find coverage, just really, really sad. And one of our trappers wound up being out on the block responding to something else. And some landscapers just came up to her and said, hey, I see you have a trap. Can you help this cat on the roof? And she wound up, long story short, and I'm super oversimplifying it, but she knocked on they pointed her in the direction of the door. They lent her some ladders and actually helped her. She got up, within 30 minutes, she had the cat contained and was
wow.
back down on the ground with the cat, this really, really friendly microchipped cat, no less. And again, just one of these super, super sad stories where pet owners did so wrong by this poor cat.
Yeah.
But you know, this cat had apparently been posted in local neighborhood block months, and nobody got the cat off the roof. And then our trapper is there for 30 minutes just coincidentally, and she winds up getting the cat. And it really just kind of goes to show that if you have the right mindset, like, and that's maybe what defines our trappers, how can we do this, not making up excuses for why we can't do things. I do think just having that very, like, let's do it mindset. Let's not worry about the obstacles. We'll get past the obstacles. We'll figure out ways to resolve them. Let's just commit to having the mindset to get it done. And so I totally digressed, but anyway, that story is on our Facebook page, which is where I definitely recommend a viewer who a listener who would want to just learn more about us should go to, just to see the day-to-day happenings in the Cat Collaborative. And then if you have any rescue partners listening who would be interested in cats from us, not that not that you don't have enough cats up your way, but the Cat Collaborative Rescue Partner Group is a group to go to. And it might even just be neat for your listeners to just check them out and just see. It can be really exciting when I scroll through and see how many cats have found placement. You can just scroll through and cat after cat after cat. Now, right now, as season, we've got a lot of cats that are still looking for rescue placement, but it still can be such a good feeling just seeing how many have found rescue placement.
That's amazing. One last question. I could have you on for hours, literally hours. Is, and I know this is a very difficult question to answer. Do you have any idea of, you're just based in Philadelphia? Do you have any idea of like the number on average of homeless cats there are?
So that is a question that we would love to have figure out how to take a census and how to really have a good number for that. The number that's constantly tossed around, and I'm actually not even sure how this number was initially anybody came that although I think the animal care and control team is where maybe needed, but the number that's used is 400,000.
Wow.
Philadelphia. And it I guess there is an ebb and flow with that. And but at the same time, a sad reality is that cats living outside don't have a really long life. So maybe that number does stay somewhat constant just because of the
Yeah.
sad but constant turnover in deaths of outdoor cats. And I guess just from a personal standpoint, the one thing I do want to throw out there is, at least in Philadelphia, there's often been a conversation slash argument or different opinions as to whether friendly outdoor cats should just be left where they are. And there definitely is, maybe a significant opinion cats should just be left where they are, and regardless of their personality. And I do feel so strongly that that's not appropriate. I don't think it's fair. One of the basis of my argument against that is, why are we punishing a cat because he just had a bad owner? Because there's very few friendly cats. If a cat's born outside, he's not going to be friendly. The cats that I'm referring to are cats that clearly were somebody's pet at some time.
Right.
And I feel
Yes.
like, why are we punishing a cat just because he had the bad luck of his first owner being crappy? Now we have the chance to give him a second chance and find a better home for him. And why are we not going to do that? Why are we not going to do everything we can to do that? And part and parcel of how feel about that are the number of cats that I have come across that have literally taken pieces of my heart. Cats that were some of the kindest, gentlest cats that literally died in my arms because they had starved to death, because they had been put outside and didn't have the personalities to fight for food, didn't were too submissive, too sweet
Of
to
course.
actually make it outside. Cats that got hit by cars and were left on the street to die a slow death. Cats that, again, going back to the abuse, the cats that were, and the friendlier they are, the more they put themselves in harm's way. And to the people who are so indignant that we are so wrong for looking for rescue placement for so many friendly cats, and we do have detractors who criticize us for that. And I say, well, then you respond. Every single time we get a call about these cats and we're rushing out to help these cats, then you respond. And they don't, that they're not going to get out of bed at 1 o'clock in the morning to go help a cat that's suffering and dying. And so I, I do feel like that's a really important part of what we're doing, the passion that we have to avoid those terribly, terribly sad stories. And and that's why we feel so strongly about kind of the last part of what we do, finding replacement for friendly cats.
It's just I'm nearly speechless, and I'm from Brooklyn. That's hard for me to do. Uh, I will definitely have you on again,
Very
because it's just so much information and so many questions I have. But first of all, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for what you do. Thank you to your team for what you do. Thank you for retiring early so that you were able to do so much for this. So thank you to everyone at your previous career for giving you the opportunity to just to dedicate your life like this. Just what an amazing second chapter for you individually. Just to be able to do this is just amazing. And the metrics and the database, and like, I want to move to Philadelphia and work with you guys.
and we want you to.
If I didn't have, I'm going to take my collies and just pack up in a U-Haul, and me and my 10 cats just show up. It's just, thank you so much. This is I've said this to you several times. I see this as the model that everyone should follow, because it's not about personalities. It's not about you as you or one particular person. It's just collaborating together, and you're making like amazing progress in a
Yep.
big city on the East Coast. That is nothing to sneeze about. That is amazing, amazing work. Just the amount of cats that the lives of these cats that you've touched is just mind blowing. So thank you so much, and just an amazing amount of information. I will definitely have you on again, and I'm going to do everything I can to get somebody to feed my cats so that I can be down in Philadelphia.
Please do. We can show you the space and the database firsthand, and you will just love it. And and I say thank you to you as well for what you do and bringing so much awareness to shelter cats, which truly are, some of the most incredible creatures, and that are so often so overlooked and thought of as so disposable. And I know from just looking at your previous episodes and your page that how much you love your shelter cats. And it's so great knowing that they have an advocate in you. So thank you for
Thank
what
you.
you do, and thank you for hosting me. I love the opportunity to talk about what we're doing. So it was definitely just such a great experience.
It's mind blowing work. I'll definitely have you on again. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. So
Thank
I
you.
heard cats in the background. Go say hi to them for me.
I
And
will. They're yelling at me whenever I'm in this particular room. They're like they want me to feed them nonstop. So now they're
my
ready for treats.
my alpha cat Sophie has literally been pacing back and forth. Are you done with this? This is the longest one of these ever. Are you done? I want my
That's
treats.
hilarious. Oh my gosh, I totally get it.
And
Oh,
that's what a shelter cat is.
yep,
Demander of
absolutely.
treats. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and we'll talk soon.
For sure. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm back. What more can I say? I'm just speechless, mind blown with admiration for what Shauna and her team has been able to do in a short period of time. When she was getting this off the ground, what was I doing? I kicked out my ex. I was rebuilding my life. She was starting this organization, and thousands and thousands of cats have benefited from the Cat Collaborative. Thousands of cats have benefited from the Cat Collaborative. I was half kidding. If you're a stray cat and you're listening, go to Philadelphia. Get in their system. You will benefit. Just amazing, 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 amazing. There, I said amazing too many times. Because it's just, that's how you do it. That's how you make a difference. That's how it works. So thank you, Shauna. This was by far my longest episode ever, but that's great because it's just chock full of just awesome information. Go to their Facebook page. Go on their website, thecatcollaborative.org. I'm going to do my best to go down there for their opening, and I will probably, if I'm able to go, I'm going to film for my budding YouTube channel, because it's just makes me so happy. It warms my heart that there are groups like this. Everybody that does anything that makes any difference in the lives of these homeless cats, from trapping to fixing to finding homes to educating to offering low-cost options for people, always warms my heart, and it inspires me to have more people like Shauna on this show. But just the fact that they've done so much and have such an amazing structure, infrastructure, organization, and they have more plans in the works with their new space and the programs that they're going to start. Just amazing. Anybody, anywhere in the world that's looking to figure out how to do this, go to thecatcollaborative.org, see what they're all about, reach out to them. It's making a difference. And that's what it's about. It's just making a difference. So, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got some great tips from this. And have a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode.